Welcome to the Jamie Gabriel Show, where we're going to discuss human trafficking. Today's guest is Nicole Bowers-Wallace. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a Michigan filmmaker. I have a company called NBW Films, and I am a writer, producer, and director.
Amazing.
Yes, yes. I've always wanted to go into film ever since I was little. And at that time, my mother was like, no, you have to do something that you can take care of yourself. Film was too risky. Yes. And so I followed another path. I went into business and finally found my way back into my passion of making films. And so love it. Love every minute of it.
Not wonderful. So today we're talking about a very sensitive topic, human trafficking.
Yes.
And it also has another label of human sex trafficking. So how did you come about making a film about human sex trafficking?
I had just finished a film on sexual abuse on an actress out of Los Angeles named Nicole Ramirez. And it was interesting in that Nicole had found herself wanting to be an actress, had gone for a casting audition, and through that whole process found herself into the sex trafficking world.
Wow.
So I knew something about it, but I don't think I even realized that it was really a trafficking scenario back then.
Right.
But after speaking to a group